Hello, welcome to Stepping Stones. You are watching currently a recording of the launch webinar of Stepping Stones that went out on the 10th of September 2020. My name is Leslie Walker. I'm a professional learning and leadership lead specialist working at Education Scotland.
And I'm Elaine Napier. I'm a Senior Strategic Manager at the General Teaching Council for Scotland. My remit's around early career, so I work with students, probationers and early career teachers.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Peat. I am also one of the lead specialists in the professional learning and leadership team, and my colleague just underneath my name, Louise Sanders, she's unable to be with us today, but she will also be part of the programme.
Okay, we're going to ask you in just a moment to pause the film, just to give you a moment to do this short activity. So we would like you please to write down or note down somewhere, first of all, the reason that you came into teaching, and secondly, a highlight from your probation year or your last year of teaching. And just take a few moments to do that now.
So we're going to give you a little bit of background as to why come on the programme for Stepping Stones and why we've created this for you. You'll be aware that when you've completed your probation, whether that was through Teacher Induction Scheme or flexible route, you probably found that there was quite a lot of support during that time for you in terms of professional learning. There'd be courses and you'd have opportunities to observe other staff and engage in dialogue and things. And then at the end of probation, the feedback that we've had from teachers in their early career is that basically there's a gap and it is a very different experience after probation, and all that support, if you like, seems to almost disappear in terms of pointing you towards professional learning. So what we thought it would be useful to do would be to build on the research that's been done to offer you an opportunity to come together to form a community, I suppose, of post-probation teachers, whether you're in your first year after probation or if you're in your fourth year post-probation, and to work, I suppose, at supporting each other through some targeted professional learning opportunities that we're offering. We've gone back and we've looked at the research that's been done around this area, and we have lots of ideas of where the gaps are. And we've used that knowledge to create a start to our programme. And as will be touched on later, we're going to ask for your ideas as well. It's not a mandatory programme, Stepping Stones. It's something that is optional, is invitational, but obviously we hope that you will choose to engage in it. But it is a case that you can drop in and out. So don't feel that because you miss one workshop that you can't come back to the group, can't come back to Stepping Stones. It's something that's going to be there for a support for you that's ongoing. It's been co-developed by Education Scotland, Scottish Government and GTCS, and we really hope that we've met your needs through it, and we look forward to receiving your feedback throughout.
Okay, so what to expect in this session just now. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about the programme structure and offer. Elaine has just covered the why of Stepping Stones. So we'll talk to you a little bit about what's involved in that. We are going to ask you to be thinking about the professional standards and specifically the standard for registration, and there will be quite close links between this programme and the standards. So we'll spend a bit of time on that later on. We will ask you also to take part in a reflective activity that again relates to the standards, and we'll ask you to reflect on your role within this programme, because it's very much the case that we want to kind of co-create it with you. We want to find out what your needs are, what your next steps in professional learning are, and how we can make sure that we build those into the programme so that it meets your needs as well as it can. We will say a little bit about the next steps for the programme after the launch, and we will encourage you and provide a link for you to complete a post-launch survey to tell us a wee bit more about what it is that you're looking for. Next slide.
So the offer of Stepping Stones as a whole, like we said, it's an online offer and it's open to all teachers in their years 1 to 4 post-probation. It's got many different elements. Some of them are described on the screen at the moment. So we will have recorded workshops. Those workshops will be sort of like webinars. They will be live, but we'll record them for people who can't attend. I mean, we will have guest speakers or other colleagues presenting in them. We will also have blethers. The blether, if you've not been to one before, blethers are a more informal way of learning from each other through dialogue, where you can share resources and ask questions. And it really is just a space for people to network and kind of collaborate together. Quite often we'll have a blether following a workshop, but there will be blethers on their own as well. And like Elaine has said previously, you are more than welcome to come to those depending on your needs. We do hope you are encouraged to come to all of them, but you can come to just whatever ones best suit your needs. As well as sort of live or discursive events, we will have professional learning activities on the programme site. The professional learning activities is a whole suite of them. They are activities you can do on your own about different themes, and you can start and stop them depending on what time you've got, so you can save your progress and go back to them. And the other great thing about the professional learning activities is you can export your written learning to where you store your CPD information. Now, as well as the 4 things I've just mentioned, we also have the Stepping Stones community. And the Stepping Stones community is a Microsoft Teams space. And again, that's just another space to encourage that networking and sharing and learning on there as well.
Okay, so Stephanie mentioned the professional learning website, and that's where you would access a range of professional learning activities. The website itself really comes in 3 key areas. So you can see there, learn, explore and connect. And the key area for you in terms of the Stepping Stones programme will be the learn part of the website. And you're required to register for this, but it's quite easy and straightforward. And once you're registered, that will allow you access to, as Stephanie said, a very wide range of professional learning activities. But in addition to that, we will be developing a dedicated area of the website within Learn for the Stepping Stones programme that only Stepping Stones participants will be able to access. And so that does mean that it is important that you register for the site, so that we will be able to make sure you have access to that specific area. And that's where we will store recordings and resources and other signposting and activities for you to get involved with as you work your way through the programme. Next slide.
So this is a self-evaluation tool that we'd like to spend a little bit of time just talking you through. It's something that at the end of this slide, we'll give you a few minutes just to do a quick reflection and to become familiar with the tool. But with the link below, that will take you to actually a copy of this tool that we'd be asking you to do. We'll touch on that later. We'll be asking you to do after this seminar. So as a self-evaluation tool, this is a wheel, and many of you may be familiar with how a coaching wheel works, but I'll talk you through it just for those that perhaps need a refresher or aren't familiar with it. What we've done with this coaching wheel is that we've broken up the standard for full registration around the wheel, and you'll see it there in all its different themes. So curriculum right round to professional values and personal commitment. And the way that the wheel works is you'll see that there's a 0 in the centre and a 10 on the outside of the circle. That's like a grading. And what we'd like you to do is, when using this wheel, is to think about, how confident am I in this area? How comfortable am I with my knowledge in this particular area of the standard? And you plot yourself between 0 and 10. 0 being, it probably couldn't be any worse. I really don't know about this area. I don't have any knowledge. And 10 being, it probably couldn't be any better. I've absolutely got to where I need to be, and there's no more development for me in this area. Now, just to be clear, the goal of a coaching wheel like this is not that everything needs to be at 10, and not to feel in any way unsatisfactory or inferior if your points are not at 10. We would absolutely expect that for everybody, your points are going to be between the middle stages, perhaps going into the lower numbers. There may be one or two that are high, and that's great. You may also see that perhaps one of your areas is particularly low, and that might impact on some of the other areas. And you might realise that if you work on that low area and move it up, aim to move it up the numbers, that actually that might then pull the other areas up as well. So the areas, I'll just go around them first of all so that you've got a clear understanding what they mean, but you'll be very familiar with these from the standards for provisional registration and indeed from the standards for full registration. So curriculum is obviously about your knowledge of what you're teaching. Education systems and professional responsibilities, that's really the wider system view, if you like. How familiar are you with national policies and how what you're doing in the classroom is actually feeding into that, and vice versa. Your pedagogy around the theories and practice. So how good an understanding have you got of why you're teaching in this way? What's the research? What's the theory that's gone behind the work that you're doing to develop the strategies that you're using? What about your teaching and learning? How satisfied are you with that? What's that looking like for you? What's that feeling like for you? Are you comfortable with it? Is it something that you'd like to be better at? And I appreciate some of these areas are huge. They're really big. Classroom management and organisation. So how well is that working for you? How satisfied, how effective is your classroom organisation? And then pupil assessment. So how knowledgeable are you in this area? Is it something that you've touched on, but with all the changes that have happened over the last few months, is it something that's definitely an area for development for you? Then you have professional reflection and communication. So as part of your practice, ideally what you should be doing is creating a time when you can actually reflect on these different areas, on your practice, on your teaching, on your learning, on the impact that you're having on pupils. How well do you manage that? Is it something that you proactively do, or is it something that isn't a priority and you probably let it slip? And then whatever you find that is the outcome of your reflection, what do you do with that information? Do you have links set up to enable you to communicate those findings to other people? Are you proactive in that way? And the final area there is about the professional values and personal commitment. So do you know what the values are that are within the standards? What do they look like in your classroom? How do you enact those values? What are your own values as well that you also bring into the classroom? So time to reflect on that. So what we're going to ask you to do is to take a couple of minutes to consider the wheel that is in front of you, and to plot the points where you feel that you are. So let's say, for example, classroom management and organisation. Perhaps you're going to plot yourself at let's go absolute middle of the road. Let's say you go for a 5. So things are going well. They could be worse, but they could be better. Your reason for plotting a 5 is that probably, like any teacher, you feel that you have some good days, some bad days. It's not perfect, but the majority of the pupils that are in your class are all getting a really valuable learning experience. So, it's okay. So you're plotting yourself at a 5. What we'd like you to reflect on is, so if you're at a 5, where would you actually like to be? Where would be the most valuable place on that scale that you could be? And it doesn't have to be a 10, as I mentioned at the beginning. So perhaps realistically, if we're in the first semester at the moment, perhaps it's about taking through to, in a couple of months' time, where would you like to be? Perhaps a 7. And thinking about, okay, if I'm at a 5, I want to get to a 7. What's it going to look like when I'm at a 7? And when I'm at a 7, it's going to be that all the pupils that are in my class are being managed very well, that the organisation is working for them, that they're taking responsibility perhaps for their own management within the classroom. It's going to be more effective, it's going to appear more streamlined, and as a result, pupils are very familiar with the systems and strategies used in the class. So actually, as a teacher, I'm freed up and I have more time. So what I need to think about is, I'm currently at a 5, I want to get to a 7 for a couple of months' time. what's a 6? What's my first step? Or what's a 5.5? What's my first step towards getting towards my goal for a 7? Making a commitment to that first step and giving yourself a timeline as to when you're going to get there. So perhaps in classroom organisation management, maybe your first step towards getting a 7 is actually to decide on which strategies are you going to introduce to your classroom and commit to, and ask the pupils and share with the pupils exactly how those are going to work within your class. So there's the link below to take you to the wheel so that you can use that. But if you could take a couple of minutes just now just to work your way around and plot where you are for each of the areas of the standard.
So the title of this slide says "Over to You," and that is because we really want to ensure that this programme is owned by the participants that take part in it. We want to make sure that it best meets your needs and that you're able to co-construct and shape the programme with us. So we want you to consider the activity you've just done with the coaching wheel and really think about things like, what was your greatest strength on the coaching wheel and how do you utilise that in your own context? What is an area of development that you would really like to work on? And then how will your experiences, widely in your teaching career, but also from the professional learning you've already done, how will that then feed in to what you would like to see represented in the workshops and the PLAs? So we do have some national data around this. For example, the Strategic Board for Teacher Education did a survey, and from that survey we know that there is a wide kind of request for more professional learning around additional support needs, assessment and learning for sustainability. But we do realise that there will be quite specific requests that come from programme participants, so we want to make sure that the programme captures them as well. So what we would ask you to do is to have a think around what would you like to see covered in this programme, what themes are there that would be beneficial for you, and you can let us know more about that in the post-launch survey. So the post-launch survey is linked there, and we will also make sure that survey link gets out to people through email or in another way as well.
Okay, so we're approaching the end of the session now, but we wanted just to say briefly about the next steps and what you can expect. So we are planning to hold a workshop and it will go out live the 7th of October between 4 and 5. And again, as we've said already, these will be recorded so that you can access them at a later time if you need to. And will be followed up by a blether or a more discursive kind of informal session on the 11th of November. Now, I think we've touched on the idea that ideally, you could go to both of these, because we hope that the workshop will give you some ideas perhaps that you might want to go away and try out. And, the blether would then provide that opportunity for you to come back and perhaps share a little bit about what you've tried, what worked, what maybe didn't work, and perhaps get ideas from other participants and perhaps even begin to collaborate on that particular topic. We haven't set the topics exactly as yet because, as we've already said, we're waiting to see really what the really emergent themes are. I mean, clearly, it might not be possible to meet absolutely everybody's individual needs. So what we're looking for is to draw out the broad themes. And we do have an idea of these already, as Stephanie said, but we will want to base the workshop and blether topics on what you're telling us in that survey. So we will be working on, the next steps for us, I suppose, is that we will be working on developing those workshops and the activities within the site. We will aim to have an ongoing dialogue with you. So we will use the team space to kind of post messages and to correspond with you and to have that dialogue with you. We will email out as well to make sure that you are aware one way or another of all the events that are going on as part of the Stepping Stones programme, and we will let you know, of course, when that programme area is ready to launch. So we're currently working on that and very excited as to how that is shaping up. Okay, so thank you very much for taking the time to watch this short film today and be part of the Stepping Stones programme. If you haven't already registered for the programme, it's important that you do that. So you can see the first link there will take you to the registration form, and that will ensure that we've got you registered and that we can make sure you have access to the dedicated programme area for Stepping Stones. We will be in touch again soon, but if you have any questions around the programme, or if you'd like to make contact with us, or indeed if you need the joining instructions for the Stepping Stones community team, please use that email that you see there, and one of the team will get back to you. A final word about that birthday cake. It's more of a cupcake with a single candle on it, but we wanted to say something about that particularly because Stepping Stones is a brand new programme. It's something new to Scotland. We're very excited about it, and we're really delighted to welcome you to what we hope is the start of something really quite groundbreaking and special, and we're looking for you to take quite a role in that. So it feels quite celebratory for us, and taking you back to the very beginning of the session when you had a quick think about why you came into teaching and one of the highlights that you've maybe had so far in your teaching career. We hope that kind of got you thinking about where you want to go next, and perhaps, you know, will inspire you to continue with the programme. And we really do hope to see you again very soon.